So I'm with Rob Lawless. You're all about active listening.
Sure.
And I would love for you to just share top #1 tip for active listening.
Sure. I think active listening is kind of a practice of imagining the person you're talking to, their life as a story that you can follow along. So it's plotting their story onto a timeline and then filling in those gaps with questions and then watching that story as I talk to them.
You guys, he's so cool.
Sure.
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow, yo.
Welcome back to the Road to Self-Love. It's your boy Paul Fishman, self-love coach and you do you activist, here today with Rob, and I don't know your last name. What's your last name?
Lawless.
Rob Lawless
Yes.
of at Robs10kfriends.
Yes.
So you're on a mission to meet 10,000 people
Yes.
and spend an hour with them.
Yeah, one-on-one, 1 hour with each of them.
I mean, I'm so honored that we can kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Part of the fun of doing this project is I never know where it's going to take me. We're like sitting on 2 beach chairs in a salt room.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever done this, so
Same.
thank you for bringing me here. This is an awesome idea.
Absolutely. So where did this all start? Like, what's the origin story behind this?
So I graduated from Penn State in 2013, and I've always been a people person. There I was involved in a lot of clubs and activities, so my friend group just grew very naturally, very quickly, and I really enjoyed that. But I studied finance because that was like the secure thing to do. So after school I went into consulting for Deloitte. I did that for 1 year and 3 months, but I was making good money too, and they were going to pay for me to get my MBA, and I had like the girlfriend, like I had everything that you should have checked for the traditional life path. And I just wasn't happy, and so I had minored in entrepreneurship at Penn State and always wanted to do my own thing, and I thought if I met 10,000 people, that would be a cool enough thing that would satisfy both my love of meeting new people and hopefully my desire to be an entrepreneur. And I was like, I think if I do it, and I do it very authentically and organically, if it happens to gain attention, then eventually I could turn that into a career. 8 months after I started the project, the company I worked for was bought out, so I jumped into this full-time. This has been full-time since July of 2016, and it's taken me out to Los Angeles and back to Philly and out to LA again, back to Philly, up here to the Hoboken, New York City area, and we're just kind of seeing where it takes us.
Wow, well, it's cool that you're making a living off of meeting people.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like, how do you do that?
Initially, it was just me with my savings, trying to get it off the ground and really just buying time, and I feel like I'm always just buying time for myself because I think the project becomes more interesting with the more people I've met and the further I've been able to take it. And then probably when I had like, maybe when I met like 1,000 people right around that time, I had like 7,000 followers on Instagram, but people in Philly who had their own businesses were like, oh, I think what you're doing is so cool. And I met this dude, Chris, and he ran a mom and pop pharmacy in Fishtown, Philadelphia. And he was like, if I could just support you, like I'd love to sponsor you. He was my first sponsor technically in March, and then because I was posting Presented This Month by Fishtown Pharmacy, an urgent care center that was new in Philadelphia DM'd me on Instagram and they said, hey, we love what you're doing with your project. What's your sponsorship look like? And I was like, oh, I'm trying to do this monthly thing. A dentist office was like, hey, why can't I sponsor you? And so it was a dentist office and then a leadership program and just this random mix of companies, all small partnerships. And then as I started to get press and started to grow, I started to reach out to bigger brands. So I've been partnered with WeWork for the last 5 months, where they're paying me to meet people at their spaces 1 day out of every week, which for me has been great because their spaces are awesome for conversation. I was flown out to LA to be on Kelly Clarkson's new show in August, and that has yet to air, and I think once those press pieces air, I'm going to try to compile them, and then I'll reach out to other brands.
That is really cool. Like, that's really, really cool, Rob. And I also, like, if you're listening to this, like, the reality is that if you want to do something, you can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, whatever you want to do. And that's, a lot of people are held back by fear, and it's really, really cool that you allowed the universe to take care of you, and you put out there, like, I want to meet 10,000 people. I mean, the reality is I want to know, like, what happens when you meet number 10,000?
Yeah, me too. It will definitely be a sense of accomplishment but I think I'll be more sad than excited. Because for me, it's more about the journey than the destination. So, like, I love that we're sitting in this room right now. We literally just got to meet each other like 5-10 minutes ago, and we just get to share about our lives. And that to me is a fun way to go through life. I see myself currently, if I had to say, like married with a wife and kids, settled in the Philadelphia area, speaking about the project, and then teaching human connection at a local university.
So before we did this, I really wanted to just be one of your friends, Rob's 10K friends, and I was like, but I also want to be on my podcast, and you're like, well, I only have time for 1 hour. So like now I just have, I want you to know about me so that you can post something about me to your Instagram, because that's what it's all about, getting exposure and being. I'm a self-love coach.
Okay.
I'm actually struggling a lot right now because my show is meant to happen in the car, and it's called The Road to Self-Love. We drive around, and it's really easy for me to be driving and focusing on the person but not having to look at them. So I just did another interview here, and like looking at the person while interviewing them is like another level of interesting for me. I can almost see like what I could see for you, and I'm sure you have a million ideas, is just like you teaching people how to be comfortable meeting new people, which is a big issue these days. The anxiety, of meeting someone new and not knowing them, and what are they going to think of me, and all this kind of stuff. Like, I deal with that on a daily basis personally, and I couldn't even imagine, like, I definitely can see that.
Yeah, and that's exactly like when I say teaching human connection at a local university, I see it.
That's where I got the idea.
Yeah, you gave it right back. No, but I think I envision a classroom of, say, like 50 people pairing off into 25 pairs and just learning from each other, like talking to each other and learning from each other's backgrounds, gaining perspective and gaining empathy, and on top of that, being comfortable sharing their own story, getting better at listening to other people's stories. Like, my active listening skills have developed so much over the last 4 years because I know that all I have to write about a person when I leave is what I remember from them. So I'm not thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner or what I plan to do this weekend. I'm watching you tell me your story, like watching you move down to San Diego and like come out to New York City after Boston, those types of things. And I enjoy that, so I'm lucky. But I think for people to develop that too is really valuable. And then on top of that, you're giving people the opportunity to become business partners or friends or like romantic partners, and I think that's a really cool thing to do, create that space for people.
If someone's like, I want to learn how to active listen, like what would you say like 3 starting tips would be to become a better active listener?
It's like watching their life like a movie, kind of like I was saying, but like I actually envision it in my mind as a timeline. So it's like you can talk about being in the Bay Area, going to San Diego, to Cal Poly SLO, to Berkeley, and I can see that, and then down to like NYC for the internship and stuff. But then you said, was it 5.5 years that you were there? And then you stopped, and it's like, okay, then you started living your truth, and I know you live in San Diego now, but I'm not sure how much time was in between that. So in my mind, there's like this timeline, and I've mapped those points of your life on it, but now I have this gap. And active listening is like plotting those points on the timeline. And I think being a good conversationalist is filling in those gaps with questions. Yeah.
I'm ready for your next question then.
Yeah, so what
happened
so
next?
Good. Yeah, so how, like...
You guys, you gotta follow him at Robs10kfriends on Instagram and DM him and meet him if he's local to you.
Sure.